In your kit, we've included 5 squeegees, which are numbered 1 through 3. Some are labeled S or L, which stands for small and large. Number 1 is the smallest and is great to use for smaller surface areas. I love using this for autopilot, side repeaters, or around the sensors. Number 2 has large and small versions, but is very versatile since it is angled and can work very well with curves. Number 3 is the widest and is also available in large and small. This is best used for a hood since it is the largest piece. Now, let's figure out which squeegee fits your hand the best. Using your 4 fingers, grab the 3S. If your fingers are way over the squeegee, the size of the squeegee, it's best you use the 3L. This is really important so that you have an even pressure around the squeegee so you don't miss any bubbles. During our course, we'll be using all 3 types and we'll be highlighting which squeegee works best in different scenarios. It's important to understand all the squeegee techniques and when to use them. And in this video, we're going to be talking about 2 main techniques, the pull method and the push method. So the pull method is exactly what you think it is. You're going to grab the squeegee and you're going to be pulling towards you, right? And this essentially is getting the water underneath, the slip solution out underneath the film. The push method is the same, but you're pushing towards. And this really works well when you're getting it towards the edges, and you could visibly see what you're pushing. The pull method is a little bit harder to see since you lose that visibility. So I have here all my squeegees, and I'll show you a quick demo of the pull method. And I'm going to go ahead and do this on the hood. And when you're doing this, one thing to keep in mind, it's very, very important. Not only should you have a lot of slip solution underneath the film, you really want a lot of slip solution on top. And this allows the squeegee to glide through smoothly. If it's kind of like, I guess you're pulling the material, that means you don't have enough slip solution on top, and you're not essentially trying to pull material or move material with the squeegee. You're really moving the water and the slip solution underneath out of the film, which activates the adhesive. So we're going to go ahead and peel this piece over here and spray underneath as we do this. Go ahead and put this away. And we're just going to put it down on the hood. And again, we have a lot of slip solution underneath. We're going to make sure that it's lubricated on top as well. And I am going to be using the 3L for this demonstration. And for the pull method, you could use 1 hand, but when I'm doing the hood, I like using 2 hands because it allows me to reach and then pull. So I'm going to hold this down because it's a small piece, and you're going to go ahead and essentially pull the water through. And when you do this part, you see this line right here. You want to do a 50% overlap. So I'm going to go ahead and spray a little bit more slip. You're going to overlap and then go all the way through. Go all the way through like that. And essentially, you can see that when I'm doing this, I'm definitely putting force, but when I don't have slip on top, and you pull this, you're not pulling the material, right? You're essentially getting every single slip solution underneath and overlapping at every point, and that's what's activating the adhesive. Now, the push method, I'm going to go ahead and reset this. And I'm going to do the demo on the fender. The push method I especially like is when I'm going towards the edge like this. And I'm going to be using the 2L for this. And I'm going to make sure that I have enough slip again. And for the push method, you're just going to be pushing material at an angle like this. And when you get to the end, it's almost like a knifing technique, right? Because you're getting to the edge. Make sure whenever you have body lines like this, you really want to get over that because that's where a lot of water wants to sit. But I'm pushing it, and once I get past that body line, I can kind of go sideways like that and make sure I get the water from underneath out. Another thing is if there is something called a finger, all right? A finger, or what we call wrinkle in the video, is it looks like this, right? So you got all this finger. I'm going to try to purposely make one. What helps, and make sure you're putting slip solution on top as well. What helps when you do this is when you, instead of tackling it head on like this, if you kind of go from it at a side angle, it helps lay that down a lot better. So this push method is going to be used a lot on the edges and a lot of areas where you want to see. Because if you do have, I mean, in this kit, we're not going to have a lot because we're not stretching massive amounts, but you may come across that. So it's really important to understand when to use this. One variation of the push method is when you get to the edge. I'm going to pull this off again. So when you get to the edge and you want to make sure, maybe there is a finger there and there's a finger right there, and what's essentially happening, let me try to create a finger. What's essentially happening when a finger is the water, the slip solution, is actually coming back. So the way to get rid of that is to remove the moisture, right? If there's moisture, the finger is going to keep coming back. So this isn't necessary. This is pretty flat, but you will find some curved areas that may have this. But what you want to do is grab your squeegee, and you could grab either any one of those, and you're going to wrap it with a microfiber. And instead of just using your squeegee now, you're going to wrap it and you're going to just push very slowly. And what you want to do is just hold it down. And what that does is it wicks up that moisture from that so that it can grab it, and then this will stay down because there's no more moisture. So this is a really, really quick technique that's useful whenever you have fingers, and that's when you want to use it. Just to summarize, we have really the two techniques that we talked about, the pull method and the push method. Again, when you are squeegeeing, you're not actually moving material, you're just getting the water and slip solution underneath out. When it's not moving smoothly and gliding, make sure that you have enough slip solution on top as well as the bottom of the film. And lastly, you want to make sure that with every stroke, you want to make sure you're overlapping at least 50% so you're not missing any of those pesky bubbles.